9 a.m. And we'll begin with the opening prayer.
Father, that it would be interested what your seeds and accomplish the things in I see for rated with I see spirit. Say these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
I believe to the flag of the United States to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, so we'll have the approval of the agenda. Is there any discussion?
Mr. Chairman, I would ask that under action items, we consolidate items C, D, E, and F.
Okay. Is there any other discussion? Okay, so is there a motion? The motion would be
To consolidate action items C, D, E, and F under one vote. Third motion, sorry.
it's been motioned and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, approval of minutes, June 11th. Is there any discussion? It seems that there is none. Is there a motion?
All motion.
I'll second.
It's been motioned and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
We'll now open the time for public comment. During this portion of our meeting, we welcome your suggestions, want to hear your concerns. This is not a question and answer period. Speakers will be limited to 3 minutes. County Commission is not able to act on matters discussed during public comment. Speakers are requested to state their name for the record. Is there anybody for public comment? Mr. Atwood, would you like to make public comment?
Not at this time.
Okay. Like to thank everybody. We'll go to department agency reports, commissioner activities report.
So I hate to slow down the meeting, but I got some stuff.
Okay,
Go ahead.
will you want to go ahead?
Yeah,
Because I know mine will be
You can
brief.
take over for me because I don't have anything.
but you always have something you just don't want to say. So, most important item, I attended the cattle growers meeting in Ruidoso. During that meeting, we had a special meeting with the Undersecretary of the Interior, Karen Buck-Fallon, the National Acting Director for Fish and Wildlife, the interim Fish and Wildlife Regional Director, and all of the local operations. There were 34 people in attendance, and we were all talking about the wolves. We submitted a wonderful package to these DC folks on what they could do legally to address the wolf problem right now. And at the end of the meeting, they committed, instead of just patting us on the head and saying thank you, they committed to go back with responses on our recommendations on actions that they should take. I have never had DC folks come to us, at least DC folks of that level in management. So wonderful meeting, very, very well attended. And so everybody knows, in the meeting, Mr. Brady McKee pulled me aside and said that he thinks he can get some money out of his budget for us to hire another employee that would be under the sheriff's department to help manage the wolf situation. So, you know, that's the local team saying, we've got to do something about this. We need to help. In the meeting, we had stakeholders, and I can't even count or reply right now how many other counties were there in support of our declaration of emergency. It was wonderful to see. And to this day, I think everybody needs to know we still haven't heard back from the governor on our resolution. And we now have enough support of surrounding counties and surrounding states that I think next month, if we don't hear from the governor, we need to pass another resolution demanding a response with all of our support letters. So that was absolutely wonderful. Negrito Bridge, had a meeting with the Forest Service. 6 individuals. The most senior person was the regional, I'm gonna say her title was road supervisor or road coordinator. I explained to them that they already have a diversion, so there's no reason why the county can't put in a diversion also. The reply back is it's not a diversion, it's a platform for the crane to actually do the work. I told them that they obviously have the approvals to get in the riverbed regardless, so we want to put a diversion around the bridge. They were more than willing to work with us on it. However, because of the equipment stack up that they have next to the bridge, the diversion would have to start 100 yards down road and go 100 yards past the bridge. And she said, look, if we work with you on this, it's going to take at least 6 months, or I'm sorry, 6 weeks to coordinate with the contractor, to have them bring in more traffic control people. The bottom line is it just didn't make sense. We could force a diversion, but a delay of minimum of 6 weeks.
Do they think they're gonna complete it by September?
Yeah, that was the last question I asked them. They said their completion date was the end of October. So I challenged that. They said early September is the actual completion date. They're just putting in a buffer in case monsoons slow everything down. And there are penalties in there if delays are generated that is not an act of God. So hopefully early September is going to be the completion date. If we force our hand on this, the completion date will guarantee to be pushed out the end of October. And I think that's just going to hurt us worse. Okay, I got to bring my notes back up. And I have spoken with some of our stakeholders on this also. They understand what they want is to see the completion date happen in early September. That's what's most important to them. I took the opportunity to talk to the regional road coordinator about a grant to get a crusher and a dozer. And they said if we apply through the Federal Lands Access Program, which is where they have a decent amount of leverage, the Forest Service will support us on that. And this is the first time I've heard to go through that particular grant to get the dozer. So I think that's going to be important to do.
Was that not
The flat.
Yeah.
And like the.
Federal Lands Access Program. The other important thing to recognize is secure rural schools. The Senate bill that was passed out of the Senate, that's S536. It is confirmed that it does have language in it to give us 24-25 distributions. So it's kicking back to the distributions that we have missed. It now needs to go to the House, and as long as the House doesn't change that specific language, we should be okay in getting our SRS funds. Representative out of Arizona, Paul Gosar, he is introducing a bill into the House that will remove the Mexican wolf from both the endangered species and the threatened species. Yeah, he's moving ahead with that. So, and I just,
Awesome.
it
Yeah, he
is.
kept his word.
Yeah, yeah. And I just want to go on record that I think it's interesting that we're getting more support out of Arizona legislation than we're getting out of our own New Mexico legislators when we are taking the brunt of the pain. We need to go to our neighboring states to try to relieve some of the costs that we're having to absorb. So anyway, we will see where that goes. That's good. Go ahead. Okay.
So all of there's a lot going on, but, one thing that's important, if anyone wants to go, and maybe Deb, I don't know, at NRCS is having a meeting in Springer Trail Riders at 6 this Friday. And, they got funding through NRCS for anyone that has the Wolf Trouble to. It's gonna be a pretty substantial amount of money to hire their own range riders or whatever they can do to mitigate problems. But they're asking for support from the people in New Mexico, so I thought I would pass that on. I plan on going, but it's another avenue for people to try to, what time, Friday? 6 o'clock Arizona time, 7 o'clock New Mexico. And they're just like a little room off the trail riders, where they're gonna serve dinner and try to get people like sign up and aware of it and know what's going on. But the money has been approved, right? So it's I don't have.
Yeah, mine's short and sweet, just a few different road things and stuff, but a couple of the issues already taken care of. You've seen the email from Jay Platt still, but trying to keep it listening. But that issue's been taken care of, so that's good. And then another issue that Bobby Lane was able to take care of out there. We have one other ongoing issue with the cattle guard, but we'll get it. And then hopefully, we'll take care of the speed bump deal after.
Yeah, they've already got it quote, we're just waiting the first of the,
Yeah,
they will get.
after the 1st of July. Yep.
They're waiting to get past me.
Yes, but they're made out of rubber, they're not rumble strips, they're speed bumps,
Right.
and they're made out of rubber, so we can get them
Good. All right. And then,
before.
okay. And then just had my workforce solutions meeting, closing out the end, doing the budget carryover, and so everything was successful. All right, we'll continue on. Let's see, Forest Service report. We don't have anybody from Forest
I
Service.
got
What?
it. Look, go ahead.
No. What we split, we have some.
Can you send that to me?
Huh?
Your report, can you send it to me?
Yes.
You have some ones.
Oh, I was just using it about the workforce.
Oh, yeah, the workforce solution, yes. Yes.
It's
Great. Yeah, you guys, if you were smart, you should have took workforce. Anyway, Forest Service report, there isn't anybody here today, you know, they're definitely in a busy deal with all the fire stuff that's going on. Manager's report.
So it's the last meeting we had discussed us for brevity emailing you the manager's report. So I have emailed you within the manager's report. I also incorporated Mark's report, and that deals with the Bursum Road aspect of Forest Service wanted us to improve using one of their borrow pits. While it initially sounded like a really good option to get some surfacing on that White Canyon area with staff, when we went out on site, it just doesn't appear a viable project because the drainage is so poor. So even if we put really good surfacing from one of their borrow pits that is 12 miles away from that site, by the time we do, the roundabout, and so the county would be looking at about $50,000 to $60,000 between fuel, mileage, stop line. And in the end, it's a really poor drain road to begin with. There has been no site prep. The Forest Service hasn't done anything. So adding rock to a really poor surface isn't gonna help. Plus, it's gonna get, they're wanting to do 3 miles, which just gets us in 3 miles, and then the road is not surfaced and still is not draining. So I'm not sure if there's benefit. Mark, Jeff and I were out there, and I'm really not seeing, we don't see a benefit for the county to expenditures.
I think that was all in your report.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I do have a comment on your report. Regarding the charging stations for Quamato and Pipetown. I know you're going through a grant and they want to be on county property. The state 2 years ago came to us. The state had something like 68 million federal dollars
Yes.
to put these on private property at gas stations. Can we contact the state and ask if any of that money's still available?
Talk to Priscilla. She's the one that, because I originally reached out to her regarding this one. This one was the one that was open and it closed, May 30th. And so that was the one that required it to be on public property.
Sure.
But she had mentioned that they're frequent. So
There's a lot of money there, so it doesn't really have to be. And I think it would benefit the businesses in Pipetown and Quamato if it was on their property.
Yes.
Right?
yes.
Okay. And so, when Buster asked them 2 years ago if they were interested in charging stations, they said no.
And that was, so when I met with the Quamato Auxiliary, and they said, well, we bought one, and because they see the benefit, they understood. I think the thought process had changed in the last. So it was a really good conversation being at the Quamato.
That was a good report, well, thank you.
It's been a busy couple.
Yes. All right, thank you. And then departments, is there anything additional that any department would like to report? Finance department, clerk's office.
No, we just got back from our meetings and it was good. It was a good meeting. We went to classes over there and learned a lot about probate. It's really good for us. We didn't know. It's good to learn something new. Yeah, it was a good meeting. It was kind of fun. Enjoyed it.
All right. Anything from assessors or mapping? Okay. All right. Anything else besides what we'll talk about later with the, okay. All right. We'll move on to action items. Consideration of resolution 61-2025 designating the location of election day polling places for all local and statewide elections conducted in 2026 and 2027 and appointing County Board of Registration. Is there any discussion?
Do you have something on that, Adrian? Is this just standard stuff?
Yeah, you have the resolution in your packet, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So basically what it has to happen every 2 years, and it's for the 26 and 27 is to appoint the board of registration, which is 3 members. No more than 2 members can be in the same political party. So you could have 2 Democrats and a declined state, or 2 Republicans and a Democrat, but that's very important that you have no more than 2 people. And then the second part is setting forth the election day polling locations, which are, I don't think have changed, have they?
No,
Yeah.
everything the same.
Just paperwork stuff?
It
Okay.
was the
So-
state representatives.
Is there no further discussion? Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
It's been motioned seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
B, consideration of county road primer.
I think this one's mine for Alex.
That was for me.
So I read through it. I think Adrian did a fantastic job in describing easements and what we can and cannot say. what the responsibilities are of the private sector. And if it's okay with the board, I would like to ask Deb to submit this document to the mapping department that they can share with the public when you get questions.
You guys have any questions on it? It just kind of runs through and says kind of what the law is, what the law is, right? But it also says that you can't rely on legal advice. You know, every situation is different, but it really does give a kind of broad overview of what county roads are and why.
I think it's, yeah, I thought you described it very well.
It was a big center.
Okay. If there's no further discussion, is there a motion?
I'll motion we direct our county manager to share the county road primer with all departments and that it can be used for public distribution.
I'll second.
It's been motioned second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, now this is where we've got to the
CDD.
yes, so so C, do I need to read all of these? So C, D, and E, and F, consideration of letter of support Congress for USDA APHIS Wildlife Services funding, approval of D, approval of county maintenance contract for the North County Maintenance Capital Improvement Position with Michael Wade Simmons. E, approval of purchase of a license plate reader for the sheriff's office. And F, approval of purchase of a tractor for the fairgrounds. Those last two, the funds would be coming out of the LATCF. And Kim, so the way that this is written, Adrian, on the fairgrounds, can we go ahead and approve for the drag at this time, or does that?
I think that's a tractor. That's fine.
Can we just state for the tractor and the implement for the fairgrounds?
Absolutely. It's part of.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Is there any further discussion on any one of these?
So
Is there any questions?
the only thing on the approval of the license plate reader, I believe he told me that there was funds and I don't remember what. There was like 5,000.
Yeah,
The
they
grant.
had out of
So,
some different grant that was
so
need to
whatever,
be
like,
used.
I know that whatever,
Pay the difference at LAPC.
yeah,
Yes.
and I mean, it's still, I think they're like 40,000, something like that, so it's gonna be pricey, but we definitely, I think, need.
So use up the balance in that one and
And then
the
pay the
remainder.
rest out of that,
Yeah, he'll just get with Keith.
43,297.
we'll take about 38 out of that then.
Okay. Seems as there's no further discussion, is there a motion?
I'll motion we approve of those.
Along with the added comments.
Along with the added comments, tractor emptying,
Do you have the added comments?
Pay part
Madam
from
Clerk?
grant.
take part from the grant for the LPR
Mm-hmm.
And the,
and the implement for the tractor.
And the incident for the tractor. Yes.
I'll second that motion.
Been motion second, all in favor? Direction to, item G, direction to staff to publish the title and general summary for an ordinance prohibiting public nuisances.
Mr. Chairman, if I might, this
Yes.
is an ordinance that I discussed with the manager, that may be necessary, to help the county be a safe place. The only action that would be requested today would be to publish it so that it would come back next month at a public hearing and you could hear from the public whether they would like to see this ordinance or not. You all can make a decision. It does exempt all agricultural operations, but that said, it prohibits things like, junk cars or, a crazy amount of weeds in somebody's area that could, lead to fires. Certainly if you're in a place where you're far enough away from anyone, it doesn't bother you, it's not gonna bother you, it's really not so much an issue, but if you're at another location where you might be close to your neighbor, that's what creates a nuisance is bothering somebody else. You can do whatever you want on your own property unless you bother somebody else. So that's really what it addresses.
So it wouldn't be to where someone, let's just say like Center for Biological Diversity or something that wants to screw with somebody. And they go out and say, oh, they've got too many weeds, like that, something like that wouldn't come back on them if it was like a group that was trying to mess with.
It should, because it's enforced by the county, so they wouldn't have the ability to enforce it. Certainly the Center for Biological Diversity could, send lots of complaints to Deb. And then she and the sheriff's office, as the ones who have the ability to prosecute this, they have prosecutorial discretion, and so they can make the determination of whether or not it's something they should address or not. And I think it would probably also be appropriate to hear from the manager of why she thinks this is necessary, because she brought it up, and I think it's a good tool if it's something that you all want, but that's a decision I think you and the public to make.
Yes, so the largest numbers of complaints that I receive and that I have to investigate deal with kind of the smaller lots within subdivisions. Most of it is, it's almost a neighbor issue, and it's usually a junk or an incomplete building or an abandoned building and things of that nature. So this, I feel, captures those areas. We put a little bit more, I'm forced with kind of, educating the people is the ultimate goal, and reducing those neighbor complaints on each other. But the large parcels aren't usually the ones that I've never received a complaint for a large parcel. This deals with actions within subdivisions.
So what are the ramifications, and would people be able to use this ordinance? Because I can think of a few different instances where people would want to try to use this ordinance against businesses and property inside the town of Motto.
Or against their neighbor, they don't like.
I'm just asking for a person who's won an inquiry.
It would be effective within Kamado, because Kamado is not an incorporated municipality. Reserve, it would not be effective in Reserve. It would be in Kamado or Hightown. And certainly, members of the public have the right to complain to the manager. The manager says, all right, yes, I have resources to address this, or yes, this is not my priority, it does become an enforcement issue. Same with the sheriff's office. The sheriff's office has a lot to do on their plate, and they may say, that's why you have public discretion. They may say, all right, I got a murder over here and a junk car over here. We're not dealing with a junk car. That's why they have that discretion.
For sure.
But it does give somebody, somebody has the right to make a complaint and say this ordinance applies. That said, there is already a mechanism in, under state law and common law to, if somebody doesn't like, if someone else thinks that they're being bothered by a nuisance in Kamado or wherever, they don't have to go through the county. They have a right to address it themselves through either magistrate court or district court. So this does not change their personal right. So, if the manager says, yeah, sorry, we don't believe this is a nuisance, they still have the right to address it themselves, and then, a court decides. But no matter what, a court has to decide whether or not it is a nuisance. That's based on testimony and civil evidence.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm interested in hearing what the public would have to say before I would render what I would decide. Harvey, what's your feelings on it? What's your opinion on this ordinance?
I have to make some folks about it, but the number of subdivisions we have and the HOAs that are always at each other's throats and may create a can of worms that we really don't want to deal with.
Right.
I can see where it could be a good thing in certain instances of just kinds of people that we're dealing with in a lot of these subdivisions up north. It may go over their head, taking up a lot of time over neighbor issues that should be dealt with between the neighbors, not the law.
Well, and I think that's the point precisely. What worries me, since we don't have a department to enforce this nuisance ordinance, if one neighbor is upset with another because of the trash, that neighbor that's trashed up, they could very easily say, well, wait a minute, there's a guy up the road that has just as much trash as I. Why are you making me clean up and not him clean up? Right?
And that's that's a fair point, and that's why when you enforce any kind of ordinance, you have to do it on a reasonable basis. I mean, let's just say that, you know, if there's been complaints and there's this place that's a complete dumpster fire, but but the manager goes and enforces it against somebody else, you know, and it's alleged because it's her neighbor or something like that, well, then we have a big issue. But I don't think that our manager or our sheriff's office is gonna do that. I think, you know, but they're gonna have to make those kinds of judgments. There's always a judgment call in a prosecution, and that's where absolutely it creates a can of worms. So the question is, does the benefit outweigh the burdens and the problems in this kind of situation?
Yeah.
And that's the question I think you should decide after a public hearing.
We'll certainly have complaints, and unfortunately, you know, I don't want our qualified deputies going out and enforcing trash or determining if noise is a certain dB level, right? Or if the smell is obnoxious. You know, that's not what our law enforcement should do. I'm all for a public meeting, but we can't make a decision if we have 10 folks here to comment. And if they're all leaning in one direction, I think we need to look at the positive and the negatives and decide for the county as a whole. Right?
Yep, absolutely. This only gives the people the opportunity to comment, but as you know, we're a representative government, and you all have been elected to make these kinds of decisions. It's great to hear from everybody, but we're not a democracy. You know, everybody doesn't get a vote. You know, you all make the decisions because we're elected. Wow.
So, don't know, is there any further discussion? Because I can tell you my personal opinion at this point, unless there was just an overwhelming response. I would be concerned with all the rabbit holes and everything else this would be opening up. And also, if anything, I'm looking to try to take things off the books and be simpler instead of adding additional things. But
So, I mean, if we have a public hearing, is that adding frustration and maybe taking us down a rabbit hole?
I don't think so. I think it's always better to open it up for the public to let them, let their voices be heard. I think that never hurts. That doesn't mean you have to adopt it, or that doesn't mean you have to adopt it as is. You could certainly take out the odor part, or change things around, or just decide that it is not right for this county.
I'd take out so much there wouldn't be hardly anything left, I'm afraid.
Well, it makes the manager and the sheriff's office jobs way easier.
so, never mind. All right. Okay, if there's no further discussion, is there a motion?
So I'll make a motion that we have a public hearing on it and go from there.
I'll second.
It's been motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. H, consideration resolution 62-6025, budget adjustment number 9 for fiscal year 24-25. Everybody
And
has this in their deal.
I apologize because I don't believe it's in your packet. I was out yesterday on medical, and so, but it's the end of the year, cleaning everybody up, meeting everybody back.
Right.
Nothing out of the ordinary.
No,
If there's no further discussion, is there a motion?
All motion.
I'll second.
It's been motion and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Item I, discussion and direction to staff regarding department notarial
I can't say that word.
notarial officers.
How did you know it's Notoria?
I was a notary for,
Oh.
Is there any discussion? Are you still a notary?
no,
What would it take to renew? Would it be, since you've been a notary, is it arduous deal to
You have to go back and
reestablish?
reestablish it.
You would basically, Mr. Chairman, to become a notary, you have to file an application with the clerk, get a stamp, and you have to take online courses. It's not very hard, but you have to go through an online course and obtain a notary bond, which costs about $25, something like that. That's what's required to be a notary.
Okay. All right, is there any discussion? I know that, I've been contacted by, not tons, but I've been contacted by different people who are frustrated because they're in a department and then they have to go somewhere else to have a notary done. I would think that this would be a simple thing that, my opinion, the county could pay for somebody to have their notary done. And
It takes a lot of time to do a notary. If it's like closing, like they'll come in and they'll want you to do a closing with them. And it can be hours dealing with paperwork for a notary. It depends on, you just have to have someone that knows that they're going to spend some time with those people.
what are
We just,
what are the? Go ahead.
no, I've had, and some, from some really good people, a lot of complaints that they will drive 2 hours to the county courthouse and there's nobody to help them. Then I heard the bank complain saying, why doesn't the courthouse have anyone helping? Commission office does have 2 people, and I know that it can be time consuming, but if we were to split it up to where, you know, and you know, make some rules, like if it's gonna take past 5 o'clock in work hours, it's gonna have to go the next day where someone's not staying an hour. But I think as taxpayers in this county, we should do better so they can come in and get something notarized. And split it up, split the workload up among all the offices.
So I just want to say that, I used to be a notary too, so I know what it takes. The problem that I have being in the commission office is that we do have 2 notaries, and I have seen days where one notary got 10 people walking in, and that person cannot get anything done for the day.
It's true.
My feeling is that you've got the assessor's office, which does papers, you've got the clerk's office, which does. Somebody is going into the courthouse to do a deed or this or that or whatever that needs to be notarized. There needs to be a couple of notaries in the courthouse itself, because it's not fair to push them all up here to the, you know, and I know now, I do know the bank's complaint or thing because they're being pushed over to them. They're being pushed to magistrate, to Melinda, and it's a lot. I mean, it's a lot to have to deal with. But it needs to be spread out. There needs to be at least 2 notaries in the courthouse itself.
Two?
I would think 2 or more, just to relieve the pressure from even the commission and the bank and the magistrate, because they're all complaining.
So do we provide all that for a free service for people?
Yes.
And is that the way it's supposed to be?
No. I mean, that you should be, if you're going to provide a notarial service and you're doing it on time, on county time,
Yes.
the maximum fee that you're allowed to charge in the statute is $5. But again, we can't violate the anti-donation clause. If somebody wants to have a notary, they need to pay, if it's on county time, they need to write a check or pay $5 to the county treasurer.
Right.
If it's on their own time, then that $5 goes to the notary. But that is, you should not be doing it for free.
Right.
I mean, I've gotten to plenty of courthouses and they do it for free and I love it, but legally, no.
So is
So
this,
then if we're charging and then the bank and Melinda's free, then everyone will still go there.
I think the bank, does the bank charge?
you're a customer,
Not if
they
you're a
don't.
customer.
Not if you're a customer.
Your customer.
And is this something, Deb, that we would ask for volunteers or would we put it in their job description? So I can address that in one. Yeah. So here, this is a fundamental issue, I mean, or problem or something that's good, depending on where you look at it. It's with the county, right? So as the Board of County Commissioners, you set the policy, policies for county employees, the pay for county employees, things like hours of operation, that sort of thing. However, with the elected officials, they get to direct the specific work of their employees. So you all have the ability to change the job descriptions for non-elected officials to say, you will be a notary. I mean, you can require anyone to be a notary that is a non-elected, that's not in an elected official department. If they're in an elected official department, then it takes work with the elected official to change a job description, because that is not the terms and conditions of employment. That is, that is the duties of employment, which they have control over. So that's why we put it on here as an incentive. My suggestion would be, if you want everybody to do it, is to say, all right, whatever, anybody who's willing to be a notary, gets, X amount extra pay, whether it's a little bit on their check or, or one-time payment at the end of the year. And if they're willing to do it and the elected officials are good with it, then you can make an agreement. That'd be my suggestion. That way it's an incentive. Or you have the ability, of course, to direct that all non-elected official county employees put in their job description.
When I got into the clerk's office, I was planning, but with everything and people moving and stuff and having to get the bond and stuff, I haven't been able to get with somebody to become one, but that's in my,
We had talked about it.
and that's in my
So
plans.
would it be unreasonable to talk with each of the department heads and see if we could have one notary within each department? And then we could, I don't know, I mean, it can't be enough that it affects the budget. Becky, you tell me, but say we offer a person $200 bonus at the end of the year for being a notary.
And I think you take the funds that come in from the notaries,
Yeah,
take those, you take those funds and you distribute amongst those people who are volunteer. And then
But if we charge for it, we're gonna be back in the same boat, and the bank and the lender are gonna be.
I mean, and you do have to, there's no getting around charging for it. That's the
But
law.
I know in Arizona, like you go into a bank, it's $5.
Yep.
Pretty common.
And I know Linda may charge for it, I'm not sure.
Melinda doesn't.
She doesn't
well,
charge.
we might get them to charge for it,
Yeah,
because if they know, and we'll post it.
Or, one thing to that would maybe be have a discussion with both of them. Look, you don't have to charge $5. Let's say you charge $4 here, and then the bank or Linda charges $5. Then you can tell them that. No, you charge $5 and have them do it for free. Tell them that. Well, the opposite. You can incentivize it with the amount of money to utilize one service. But that money had come out of the other department's budget. I'm with Buster. It seems to me like we should talk to the other departments and the other elected officials and ask them what their opinion is and who they want to call for volunteers,
Yeah,
right? Because this is really gonna be up to their departments. Our commission already has notaries. So the elected officials need to decide what to do instead of us.
I have a question. Does it have to be a county employee who works in town? Can you not maybe have a casual employee that lives in North in the county, gets paid whenever they need their services? So then they don't have to drive 2 hours to get to the courthouse and have something.
Well, there's notaries in like Pytown and Kamado and stuff.
But direct individuals to do that.
The main
Well,
complaint was that courthouse is like for the public pay tax dollars, and that they need to have notaries in that courthouse.
so we're just trying to make it sure that we have notaries dispersed within each office, so that basically, and so a casual wouldn't really help in that, because we're needing, when our office hours are open, we're wanting to have a notary available. So,
No,
oh, I was just gonna say, in the past, and I know what you're going, in the past, every single department had notaries in it. It wasn't an issue. Every department had notaries in it.
The state they changed their laws about how to be a notary and what you need.
Yeah, and I heard that, I heard that it was supposed to be like only intends to do it again, but then I heard people that have got it said, no, there was not a problem with it at all,
Yeah.
so.
It's very easy, but let me just throw out one other thing on this. That where we've run into problems, at least in 2 other counties, Sierra and Socorro counties. I'm not saying that this would happen, but we've run into it actually 3 or 4 different times. Is that you have a notary, and of course, all a notary is doing is either A, taking an oath, or B, certifying that person is who that person is. That is all they're doing. They're not lending them out on the moon. They're just doing that. So what I've seen where we were in litigation in Socorro County where, somebody went to the sheriff's office and used their notary and said, well, the sheriff signed off on all these documents. The sheriff's office signed off. This is the sheriff's office employee. And one we had, the county manager was a notary in Sierra County, and we got sued because, well, the county manager obviously approved this document, but there's the notary. Now, of course, we won all of those things, but it does create that perception. Well, the county approved this because there's a county official signing. It's not valid, but we've run into it 3 or 4 times.
We've heard lots of arguments about people when the assessor's office or the clerk's office signs the document, that the people don't understand that we're just verifying the signature and not saying that this document is correct, which we've explained it to them too, but people still call back when something's not processed and gets denied, that somebody signed off on it, like notarized it, and then they get upset that the document couldn't be processed for whatever reason.
Could be
Like the description or something was wrong, but the notary's not. Yeah. We hear all that too.
Said this document.
That's right.
Signing it's okay, just make sure that the person who's signing is signing.
Yep. So I think we're getting a little off track here. Maybe we
Just
should
happen.
agree whether or not it's up to the elected officials.
So how does it read right now? So this is direct discussion and direction. So, if there isn't any other discussion, I would motion that we direct Deb to talk with each department head, each elected official, to talk with their individuals, and that there would be a $200 a year, it would be at the end of the year bonus for a person being a notary. And our objective would be to have at least a minimum of 1 notary in each department.
That bonus should come out of the department's fund.
No, it could. It would probably come out of the general fund.
Yeah, it'd probably come out of the
And be supplemented by charging a $5 notary fee.
Yes. And then we don't have people just coming in willy-nilly, but we would have it posted within each office that there would be a $5 charge for any notary.
You'll be surprised how much that $5 adds up. There's a lot of people.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
It's gonna be, it'd be
Right?
quite a bit.
Was there a motion?
That's motion.
I will second.
Was that for the manager to do the policy, or was that for bring it back?
For her to go to each department head and to tell her of what our initial plan is and get their feedback on it. Okay, it's been motioned and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, discussion and direction to staff on RT provider selection. Open the floor for discussion. Do we want to view? Have you viewed the PowerPoint?
Yeah.
Okay. Is there anybody here would like to comment? I know that I've heard opinions
Yeah.
on, but
This
this is between Kosh and ABBA. Is there any other providers that would be, because that would be, if we stepped out, is there any other providers that would be willing to provide this area? And what type of service would they provide? Because right now it just seems like our choices are ABBA and Kosh.
Well, I will say Kosh when, the department heads were polled, they had really good things to say about Kosh. Kosh was, the county separated from Kosh due to, other issues, not because Kosh did anything wrong, by the sound of it. Kosh is on state price agreement, so we don't have to legally get free bids. They are familiar with our system and are ready to support us. And with their their estimate that they provided, I believe was included, they're running, approximately $700 a month less than what we currently get charged with Appen.
And what would our switch over cost?
My understanding, and I will confirm with Kosh, is that there would be an initial about $10,000 charge to switch over, but then after that, I think there'll be, savings each month that.
We would be ahead in the year then.
Yeah. ROI.
And we have a substantial more, support. ABBA's not able, they're not very good with their customer service, their response.
Do they do phones? Do they take care of the phone system? Because they did before.
They do.
Good.
And in the commission office, our phones will go down, hey Becky, what do you think? Probably 5 times a week. So, I mean, we're out of service, there's times that I had 102 messages one day because my phone finally got to.
Okay.
I will say, so we have a contract with ABBA that does require a 30-day termination notice. So I mean, that would be something that would be needs done, and then if, like you say, if it's on state contract, you can move over with that. Again, they've done the services in the past, so maybe it's not that big of a deal. I guess I would think you want Kosh on board before you send the termination. Make sure there's some overlap period, because things go bad, and then you also have anytime you switch systems, it's rough. So you gotta make sure there's some wiggle room in there. And especially since we have a Tyler Triadic system, I don't know if switching another system is going to interfere with working with those two systems. So just some things to keep in mind. Is this the right time? I don't know.
Becky?
Yes.
I don't know. Is there a right time? There's
I
kind of
don't
never really a right time, right?
I don't know, I get Aiden's point, but I don't know.
So right now, the fiscal year ends June 30th, right?
Yes.
Begins again the 1st of July. So basically, we're in a transition where we're closing out everything. Everything should be closed out on the 30th, correct? So what better time to start anew?
I agree.
So we'll have to pay an additional month, but if we contacted Kosh and be like, okay, can we start 1st of July, give our 30-day termination to ABBA? And then,
I will talk to Kosh to see how long they anticipate needing this transition, but my understanding in speaking with them, if we met with them, it was something they could pull the switch really fast.
right,
This thing is reflecting on Catcher County. I mean, we've had ABBA for 2 years now.
It's awful.
And we changed from Kosh in the beginning based on very little evidence of lack of support. And there wasn't, in my opinion, there wasn't enough evaluation of why we should change. It was done much too quickly. And I gotta believe we're fully evaluating it now, and Kosh is the right vendor to have for these services,
yep.
and have been all along.
So with the way the agenda's route, can we just move along to top?
I would direct the manager to move along with Kosh, including coordinating switchover and effectuating
notice of termination when those times are appropriate.
Yeah, so that would be the motion.
I'm gonna make that motion of what Adrian just said.
So
Did you get it?
we'd be directing the county manager to proceed.
The clerk has the motion.
Second it?
Oh, I'll second.
It's been motioned and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Item K, for the placement of the Glenwood Community Center's informational sign on the Glenwood Senior Center property.
So this is mine, just quickly, through the funding that we have for park improvements, there's money in there for a community sign that'll describe the activities at the park, and we can also advertise some of the businesses. And it was determined the best place to put it is on the senior center property. I checked with Alex.
Is that put up to the road? Good.
Yeah. On 180, I checked with Alex. He sent me a plot and an aerial view, but I felt like I needed the commission's approval, since it is county property, an approval for us to find a location to put that sign on the senior center property. And Adrian did indicate it's our decision. It's not the
And yes,
Go ahead, Bud, you're good. One thing that I would ask, if you're gonna put a large sign there, senior center, before you decide exactly where you can put it,
Sure.
I've got cameras on that building that are doing dual purpose. And if you put the sign where it's blocked, camera view, enter for the sheriff department has it going on.
okay,
That's a good point. Thank you for bringing that up.
yeah.
I need to know where those cameras are too.
No, don't feel good.
Bill. Okay.
Okay, so-
Do we need motion?
Yeah, and then we'll just add it on there with coordination with the sheriff's office.
So, are you ready for a motion?
Sure.
So I'll make a motion, we approve a Glenwood community sign on the senior center property. Location to be determined after review with the sheriff department.
I'll second.
Been motion seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Item 9, approval of checks and registers. I guess we have to do this separate, since we didn't define it at the start, right? Put them together right now. Okay, so item 9, A and B, approval of checks and registers and approval of payroll. Is there any discussion? Seeing as there is none, is there a motion?
I'll motion.
Second. It's been motioned second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. We'll motion roll call vote, recess regular session. Go into executive session that pursuant to New Mexico State Statute, section 10-15-1. Only the following matters will be discussed in closed session. Is there a motion?
A motion.
I'll second.
It's been motioned and second. All in favor? Aye. Roll call vote.
District 1,
Buster Green. Aye.
District 2,
Audrey McLean, aye.
District 3.
Aiden forward, you betcha.
So now, what time is it?
It is 11:58.
58. What we got done in that meeting in an hour, we wanted to be all done.
Well, we're improving.
Like the funding of the fire department. I have some kids that want to run on my contract engine. But there was like some issues with getting their boots and stuff, their fire boots. Their fire chief had told them to wear their hiking boots, until they get boots or they get funding for the boots. So I don't know if there's no funding for them, or this is through the Rancho Grande Fire Department. But I have my own, I work through a contractor. And we're getting the kid through his classes to go out of state with me. And yeah, to be on a fire with,
Motion and roll call vote to reconvene regular session. Uh,
Do we have a motion?
yes, I motion that we reconvene regular session. Is there a second?
I'll second.
There's been motion and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion and roll call vote. The matters discussed in closed session were limited to those specified in motion for closure and that no final action was taken. As per New Mexico statute section 10-15-1.
District 1,
Buster Green, no action taken.
District 2,
Dr. McQueen, no,
District 3.
No action taken. Moving forward.
Okay, next commission meeting is July 9th, 2025, 9 a.m. right here. Remountain Street, Resort, New Mexico. And is there
Adjourned?
anything else that needs to be?
No.
Okay. Meeting is adjourned at 1:27 p.m.
So it's on.